Hello, welcome. I'm Dr. Deborah Leggett. I want to introduce you to my favorite approach to counseling, and that is Adlerian. And so I'm going to talk to you today about Adlerian theory of personality. It's based on the work of Dr. Alfred Adler. He was born in 1870 and died in 1937. He brought his work to America from Vienna. He's considered the founder of an approach we call individual psychology. And that's based in the idea that each individual has a different outlook on the world. So let's look at his philosophy of human nature. So I am going to go through these slides and talk to you about his thoughts. Adler stressed a positive view of human nature. He believed that individuals can control their fate. They do this in part by trying to help others. He considered this concept something called social interest. How they do this can be understood through analyzing their lifestyle. Early interactions with family members, with friends or peers and teachers help to determine the role of inferiority and superiority in their lives. A person's perceptions are based on his or her view of reality. This is called phenomenology. Adler believed that we actually construct our reality. You see that today in constructivism, and that we construct it according to our own way of looking at the world. He said in one of his lectures, "I am convinced that a person's behavior springs from this idea. Because our senses do not see the world, we apprehend it or we understand it." Each person must be viewed from a holistic perspective as an individual. He suggested that dividing the person up into parts or forces, like Freud did with the id, ego, and superego, was counterproductive because it was mechanistic and it missed the individual essence of each person. In his view, understanding the whole person is different than understanding different aspects of his life or personality. Human behavior is goal-oriented or teleological. It's working toward a goal. People move toward self-selected goals. Adler said the life of the human soul is not a being, but a becoming. That we're in the process of becoming until we die. This idea requires a very different way of viewing humans than the idea that behavior is caused by some internal or external forces or rewards and punishments. So think of that in contradiction to Freud's idea of sexual urges that push behavior. Understanding the causes of behavior is not as important as understanding the goal to which a person is directed. Since we have evolved as social creatures, the most common goal is to belong. Adler said in one of his writings that the key to being able to work with someone was understanding their goal, where they want to end up, where they want to reach. Determinism is the next concept. Moving through life, the individual is confronted with alternatives, but from this perspective, we see humans as being creative, choosing, self-determined decision makers, free to choose the goals that they want to pursue. Adler also believed that both the conscious and the unconscious are in the service of the individual who uses them to further personal goals. So, from the Adlerian perspective, you do dream work as well because that's the unconscious coming into the conscious to help work through some issues or work toward the goal. Striving for superiority to overcome basic inferiority is a normal part of life. Adler believed that we were born as babies with this need to strive and to become accomplished and to become superior. Mossack reported that Adler and others referred to this central human striving in a number of different ways as completion, striving for perfection, striving for self-realization, striving for self-actualization, for competence and mastery. So you'll see, as you see some of these concepts, a lot of our current day theories built on the work of Adler. Social interest and a positive involvement in the community are hallmarks of a healthy personality because all behavior occurs in a social context. Humans are born into an environment with which they must engage in reciprocal relations. Adler believed that social interest was innate, but it also needed to be nurtured in a family where cooperation and trust were important values. So it was both. It was inherent, it was born, it was innate, but it also needed to be developed to be fully what it needed to be. Now let's consider some Adlerian core concepts and explanation of behavior. You'll see in the Adlerian literature this described as style of life or lifestyle. The definition of the lifestyle or style of life is a way of seeking to fulfill particular goals that individuals set in their lives. Individuals use their own patterns of beliefs, cognitive styles, and behaviors as a way of expressing their style of life. Often the lifestyle is a means for overcoming feelings of inferiority. There are four areas of the lifestyle. There's the self-concept, or my convictions about who I am. There's the self-ideal, my convictions about what I should be. The Weltbild, that's a German word, or picture of the world, my convictions about the not self and what the world demands of me, others' expectations of me. And then finally, the ethical convictions, or the personal right and wrong code. The Adlerian explanation of behavior also stems from family constellation and atmosphere. Family constellation involves the number where one was born into the family, firstborn, secondborn, that's birth order, as well as the personality characteristics of members of the family. That's important in determining lifestyle. The family and reciprocal relationships with siblings and parents determine how a person finds a place in the family and what he learns about finding a place in the world. Social interest, the caring and concern for the welfare of others that can serve to guide people's behavior throughout their lives. It's a sense of being a part of belonging, to society and taking a responsibility to improve it. Superiority. The drive to become superior allows individuals to become skilled, to become competent and creative. However, we can develop a superiority complex. That's a means of masking feelings of inferiority by displaying boastful, self-centered, or arrogant superiority in order to overcome the feelings of inferiority. Inferiority, on the other hand, results from feelings of inadequacy and incompetence that develop during infancy, when an infant's totally dependent on those around him or her, and serves as the basis to strive for superiority in order to overcome feelings of inferiority. So the infant is striving to learn to do basic things, basic tasks, to overcome those feelings of inferiority. An individual may develop an inferiority complex. That's a strong and pervasive belief that one is not as good as other people. It's usually an exaggerated sense of feelings of inadequacy and insecurity that may result in being defensive or anxious. Birth order. You may have heard of Dr. Kevin Leman's book on birth order. There was an early one that was written by Frank Coleman, I believe his name is, that was Born to Rebel. It was a meta-analysis. It gave us a lot of information about birth order. This is the idea that place in the family constellation, such as being the youngest child, can have an impact on one's later personality and functioning. Early recollections or memories of actual incidents that clients recall from their childhood may be very important. Adlerians can use this information to make inferences about current behavior of children or adults. Basic mistakes, that's another concept. Self-defeating aspects of the individual's lifestyle that may affect their later behavior are called basic mistakes. Such mistakes often include avoidance of others, seeking power, a desperate need for security, or faulty values. Assets. One of the things that we do from this perspective is assess the strengths of an individual's lifestyle. This is important, and it's a part of the lifestyle assessment, as is assessment of early recollections and basic mistakes. So finding their assets or their strengths is an important part of this. So now let's explore Adlerian techniques for change. We begin with a lifestyle analysis because that helps us to gain insights into the client's problems by determining the client's assets as well as basic mistakes. These insights are based on assessing the family constellation, dreams, and social interests. To help the client change, Adlerians may use a number of active techniques that focus to a great extent on changing beliefs and reorienting the client's view of situations and relationships. We also consider the life tasks. There are 5 basic obligations and opportunities that Adler identified. That's work or occupation, society, love or sexual relationships, intimacy, self-development, and spiritual development. These are used to help determine therapeutic goals. Interpretation is important from an Adlerian perspective. Adlerians will often express their insights to their clients that relate to clients' goals. Interpretations often focus on the family constellation and social interest and are often posed in the form of an hypothesis. I wonder if this might be the case, we may say. Immediacy, communicating the experience of the therapist to the client about what is happening in the moment. So when we're talking about this, I notice that you're clenching your hands or holding a lot of tension. I wonder what that means. Encouragement is a very important therapeutic technique used to build a relationship and foster client change. Supporting clients in changing their beliefs and behaviors is a part of encouragement. Adler actually did not believe in dysfunction, but he believed in discouragement. He believed that when clients were symptomatic, it was because they were discouraged. So the important piece for the therapist then was to build courage or encourage. So therapeutic technique that I often use is therapeutic encouragement. Acting as if. In this technique, we ask the client to act as if a behavior will be effective. So they're encouraged to try a new role the way they might try on new clothing. So they act as if. Catching oneself. In this technique, patients learn to notice that they are performing behaviors which they wish to change. They catch themselves in the act of doing it, if you will. And then they may have an aha response when they do that. The aha response is the development of a sudden insight into a solution to a problem as one becomes aware of one's beliefs and behaviors. Avoiding the tar baby by not falling into a trap that the client sets by using faulty assumptions. The therapist encourages new behavior and avoids the tar baby or getting stuck in the client's perception of the problem. The question, the miracle question, actually originated here with Adler. He would ask, what would be different if you were well? It was a means that he used to determine if a person's problem was physiological or psychological. Remember, he was a doctor and a psychiatrist before he became a psychotherapist. Paradoxical intention. This is interesting, and you see this when you start to explore structural family therapy, but this actually originated here as well. It's a therapeutic strategy in which you instruct the client to engage in and exaggerate behaviors that they seek to change. By prescribing the symptom, we make the clients more aware of their situation and help them seek to change. By prescribing the symptom, we help them achieve distance from their symptoms. For example, a man who's afraid of mice may be asked to exaggerate his fear of mice, or a client who hoards paper may be asked to exaggerate that behavior so that living becomes difficult. In this way, individuals can become more aware of and more resistant from their symptoms. Spitting in the soup, spitting in the client's soup. That's making comments to the client to make behaviors less attractive or desirable. A common one that has slipped into everyday vernacular is, and how's that working for you? So somebody might report doing something that they previously found unproductive, and the therapist might say, how's that working for you? Homework is also used from this perspective. So specific behaviors or activities that we want clients to do after a therapy session would be prescribed as homework. The push button technique. This was designed to show clients how they can create whatever feelings they want by thinking about them. The push button technique asks clients to remember a pleasant incident they've experienced and become aware of the feelings associated with it, and then switch to an unpleasant image and those feelings. By doing this, clients learn that they have the power to change their own feelings. And that's the end of this presentation on the Adlerian theory. I hope you find it helpful. It's one of my favorite orientations and where I base a lot of my work. If you have any questions, you can always let me know. You can email me, you can contact me in the course. I thank you for listening. Hope this helps a lot.